All right, welcome back to Two Stupid Guys Trade Stocks. I'm Vinny,
I'm Dylan.
and today we're going to talk about the Evergrande crisis. You know, the Michael Burry kind of weighed in a little bit on Twitter. I don't know if you guys are aware he's back on Twitter, but it's been a news story everywhere, like every major news outlet, CNBC and Reuters. And every YouTube channel has talked about this already. So I think I might as well throw out a little 2 cents into this thing and see what we can come up with.
If you like this kind of entertaining stock market content, we're just two stupid guys trying to figure everything out as we go. So please join us on this journey. Give us a like and subscribe. And we'll get started.
We'll get to it.
Two stupid guys trade stocks.
All right. So I don't know how much you've kind of followed this whole story this week about like the Evergrande crisis. I don't know if you followed it at all or not really.
I followed it in the way that I watched all my holdings in Baba die. But that's it.
Yeah. Okay.
So
So the reason why a lot of like Chinese companies, particularly like Alibaba, were down this week is that there's this contagion risk, is what they're talking about. So this is a news article here from Al Jazeera, my trusted source for news, of course. But they are, I know, right? They're talking about, at least they don't hide everything behind a paywall, which is important to me.
yeah.
They're
Basically
talking about like
everything,
whether or not Evergrande poses, this like Lehman Brothers esque risk to the entire market, because right, Lehman Brothers was the investment bank that was allowed to fail in the 2008 financial crisis, and you saw a massive contagion effect throughout the entire globe at that point.
What happened in 2008?
It happened in 2008. What?
Huh? Was there a crisis?
The mortgage crisis? You don't remember? No,
Oh,
that's all good.
no.
Yeah, The Big Short. It's a movie.
Yeah.
Michael Burry's in it. Well, yeah, Christian Bale playing Michael Burry. But anyways, so Evergrande is the largest property real estate developer in China. If you're not familiar with them, they have about $300 billion in debt. And we're going to talk a little bit about how that compared to where Lehman Brothers was at the time they defaulted. So, if you look at just a kind of superficial view here, they list, this is in Chinese yuan, but they list 2.3 trillion yuan in assets and 1.95 trillion in liabilities, meaning that they're a company with a positive value, a positive of 350 billion yuan in terms of positive value. But the problem is if you dig a little bit deeper and you look at their balance sheet, the vast majority of their assets is inventory, which is unsold apartments, right? So, they've been basically trying to do like a fire sale and sell off these apartments, and they've been unable to move them, which is why it was prompted this liquidity crisis. Because in reality, some people are arguing that this 1.2 trillion in inventory is actually worth basically nothing, which is
because they can't get rid of it.
Yeah, it's just not sellable.
So it's not so much an asset anymore.
Yeah, exactly. There's underlying land, of course, but they talk a little bit about China ghost towns and like all these just vast empty apartment buildings.
I've actually heard about that. They just have like giant developed cities with no one living in them.
Yeah. Evergrande would be the builder of such a city.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's that 1.2 trillion. That's what that is.
I mean, it's really pretty though.
I mean, sure. Yeah, definitely. Allegedly, that they've been offering people the apartments in kind of in lieu of debt. So if you were a bondholder of Evergrande within China, they've been offering you property to forgive the debt, basically. So they're trying to offload it even that way.
So basically a timeshare. So like, how about we don't pay you and you can stay in my apartment for a couple of days?
Yeah, exactly. Right. Have they considered turning it into an Airbnb? Maybe. I don't know.
Be a lot of Airbnbs.
So this is the result of the stock graph here. This is a 1-year stock chart of Evergrande. Not very pretty. Would you agree?
It's a fun roller coaster.
Yeah, I mean, if you were looking for a hill to sled on, this would be a great sledding hill.
This would be pretty solid.
Not familiar with sledding or snow or ice, but that would be the idea. So this is Lehman Brothers back in 2008, what their stock chart did. So, kind of equivalent to a certain degree here,
I don't know, man. You see a bad graph. I see like 9 different dips to buy. So,
hey, you know what? Buying the dip is a solid idea. You can still get Lehman Brothers holding company shares for like fractions of a penny. So if you're interested,
can you?
definitely a great dip to buy.
Oh, they're not dead?
Well, yes, they are, but
Oh, okay.
people still trade things that are dead. I looked on eBay because I was thinking about I should pick up some Lehman Brothers merchandise, and it was like $200 for like a little leather thing to arrange your like car keys and wallet in and stuff. Little valet tray.
That's more than the entire value of the company.
Yeah, it
Solid.
is. I mean, you never know, right? So a little bit about this Evergrande default, right? They're not officially in default yet, but they had, Dylan and I are recording this. It's September 25th, 2021. As of September 23rd, 2021, they had an $83.5 million interest payment due, which they did not pay. Now, Evergrande has debt denominated in US dollars and debt denominated in Chinese yuan. They paid the interest on the Chinese yuan denominated debt, but they did not pay the interest on the US dollar denominated debt. And that was a total of $83.5 million. They have another payment coming up in a few days here on September 29th that's due of $47.5 million. Now, they are not considered officially in default until it's been 30 days since the missed payment date.
So wait, they owe debt to multiple groups. They paid China, but then didn't pay us?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, they paid the interest on the debt that's denominated in Chinese yuan, but they did not pay the international debt that's denominated in US dollars.
And that's like a pretty solid argument to all my pro Baba stuff.
You think so? I actually think it's almost kind of opposite. They basically have shown that they don't care about foreign shareholders or debt holders.
That's why it would be the argument to not invest in China stock.
Exactly. So that's why you see like a commensurate sell-off maybe in companies like Alibaba.
Yeah.
That's part of the story there. So this is Michael Burry. He's back on Twitter, like I was saying, Cassandra here. So he's talking about, he actually links to this other gentleman here, the last bear standing. And it talks to you, saying basically if you want to educate yourself in this Evergrande crisis, you should read through all of the last bear standing Twitter kind of I don't know what you call them, like streams or threads. That's what it's called. So I did do that. This one right here, I think, encapsulates his current position as of September 22nd. So it's very recent. But he was kind of showing how dramatically the bond prices were selling off here. And the other thing he talked about a little bit back in like August was the fact that, yes, Evergrande was selling off, but the other large Chinese developers were not. So if you have the skill set and knowledge to short commercial paper, it certainly is an interesting trade.
Yeah.
Beyond my comprehension, I've never bought commercial paper. Never mind learn how to short sell it.
Right. That might be the coolest Twitter handle I've ever seen. The last bear standing.
I mean, I really like his logo. Because it's a picture of a bear standing. Brilliant.
Yeah, that's a pretty dope thing.
Yeah. So, like I said, he basically just gives this guy the credit. This is a very, very long string of tweets talking about all this stuff. And then I don't know if you've caught this one at all, but he actually one of the strings is talking about Tether. Do you remember Tether?
Oh, Burry talked about Tether or the bear standing?
The last bear standing did. So they talk about how Tether would be basically one of the largest commercial paper holders. It's a stable coin for those of you not entirely familiar with it. So it's a cryptocurrency that's pegged to a currency as in US dollar.
Was supposed to be pegged to it.
Yeah. Well, it is
supposed to.
But what they own underneath it is the questionable stuff. Tether would be one of the largest owners of commercial paper in the world, but they're not known in US markets or European markets. So one of the theories is that maybe they were investing in commercial paper in China. Right around the time where Evergrande was no longer able to utilize commercial paper from foreign like investors, the amount of commercial paper available by or held by Tether dropped by significantly. So it's not exactly proven, but there's a lot of circumstantial evidence that Tether may be backing Evergrande. So
gosh.
All right. So this is an interesting point for, like, you saw crypto sell off this week, a little bit about Chinese regulation, but there's another risk I think associated with crypto right now that people may not be appreciating if truly Tether is backing a lot of these Chinese, property real estate developers.
Right. Yeah, that's a pretty ridiculous thing. Hey, Vinny, for people that don't know, can you say what commercial paper is?
So commercial paper is just like a debt that the company has taken on where they've borrowed money from the market. It's as in U.S. treasuries or like government kind of borrowing. Commercial paper is when like a company does the same kind of thing.
Got it.
So China's been preparing for potential contagion effect. They injected about 120 billion yuan or 18.6 billion dollars into the banking system just in order to help stave off any contagion effect from Evergrande if they were to default. I want to compare a little bit about like Evergrande versus Lehman Brothers. So Evergrande right now has $300 billion in liabilities. This is a time when liquidity is cheap, right? You can get cash pretty inexpensively. So
Yeah,
that's
very.
one thing they certainly have going for them. And they are looking at probably having a pretty substantial write down in inventory. But remember, this is still physical property. This is still an apartment. I know there's ghost cities and stuff like that, but I find it hard to believe that truly land doesn't have a value. As they say, God ain't making any more of it, right?
Yeah, it's pretty funny.
It's got a definitive supply. Whereas when you look at Lehman Brothers, they had $600 billion in liabilities, right? And remember, this is 2008. This is 13 years ago, right? So
yeah,
the monetary supply was drastically smaller than it is now.
Was that like 1.1 trillion now? It's probably 3 or 4 times bigger than Evergrande then.
Yeah, it's interesting. I'd have to look at it, but like you certainly know that there's been a lot more dollar printing over the last couple of years, and particularly in like this whole decade since this Lehman Brothers thing has happened. Has been the decade of quantitative easing. It happened at a time where the whole world was leveraged and no one really understood the leverage because of these CDOs, the collateralized debt obligations. They really masked. There's that great scene in The Big Short where what's his name? Steve Carell's character is talking to the guy, and he's like, "So for every dollar in mortgages, how many dollars are betting on that?" He's like, "Oh, $50 betting on that $1 mortgages." That's CDOs. He's talking about CDOs and CDO squared, and that's what he's talking about. So the true leverage was really hidden at that time, and it's different in that, like, yes, real estate in China is like a large portion of their economy. About 30% of their GDP, but the U.S. financial system is in large part the financial system for the world because the U.S. is still the reserve currency for the world. So the vast majority of like financial transactions are occurring here when you have foreign governments that are banking here and that sort of stuff. So it's much more centralized in terms of its importance than I would say the Chinese real estate market is.
Right.
But yeah, that was pretty much I don't know, a little summary of Evergrande and like kind of where Michael Burry's take was there and some of the moving pieces surrounding it.
I didn't know the Tether thing. That's absolutely terrifying. I don't think I've seen anything on that.
It's completely rumor and conjecture. I can send you the Twitter kind of thread on it, but by that the last standing bear.
I mean, if it's real, that's going to be the end of. I mean, that's going to be a massive problem because Tether's supposed to be backed. That's not going to be good.
No, I know. I was thinking about that today too, like bearish bets on like MicroStrategy or Coinbase, like ways we could play that from like our skill set on a massive kind of crypto drop in relation to the Tether issue.
Puts on Coinbase would probably be the number.
Yeah, it's a good thought. All right, guys, so let us know what you think about this in the comments below.
Yes, sir. Thank you, guys.
Yeah, see it. All right, sweet, that worked out.